What's the word? It's the Nerdy Birds. My name is Drew Philip Elias. I'm here with my co-host, Aldo Mendez, the magnanimous nerd. Aldo Mendez.
Hi, how's it going, guys? Welcome to this special episode, I would say.
This is a very special episode of Between Nerds Podcast. This is a non-numbered episode because this is the season recap to season 1 of Between Nerds Podcast.
Yeah, a season finale, if you will.
Mm-hmm. We will be discussing episodes 1 through 30 and maybe the pilot. I don't know.
I mean, we're discussing pretty much what we've done so far. And, I mean, first of all, thank you everybody who has been listening. Thank you for everybody that hasn't been listening, you know. Thank you for...
No, fuck the people that have been listening.
Thank you for the people that have been using the hashtags. We've gone through so many hashtags. We were just talking about how many hashtags we've gone through.
Yeah, we wanted to review like what this podcast has been to us as a whole, not just episodes, not just the anime we've watched, because even like the Nerd Downs, we've gone into several topics, but like what we tried to do first of all with this, what it developed into was like an El Paso like themed nerd culture discussion, right? And that's why we have so many of these hashtag giveaways. Like, we're philanthropists, bro. Like, we've given to like 5 philanthropies so far this year.
Yeah. And I think it's awesome that, I mean, I haven't gotten bored with it.
Nope, not yet.
You know? Like, it's fun to do. It's fun because, I mean, I do like, honestly, one of the things that keeps me going is the hashtags.
Yeah. It's real cool, which is like the months that they really hit, you know what I mean? We get a lot of traction on them. And it's not really about, maybe at first it was like a method to maybe get like Twitter discussion going about the podcast, but it turned into like we just like giving away to these different organizations, and it feels like when we're researching about these nonprofits, we're learning more about the city as well.
Absolutely. We've gone and yeah, like the interactions you guys have with these hashtags, it's crazy because we don't really pay. I mean, not pay. We don't really even think about it that long. We just sit down for a couple of minutes and say like, what should we help? It's like, what do we like? What do we, you know, what do we support?
Yeah, we've had some we've had some like non-traditional ones maybe, because like we did hashtag Nerds for Justice one time, which was donating to the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People El Paso chapter, and that one was we try not to get political, but like sometimes it just happens, because that one had partially to do with like leftover animosity from last summer's racial justice protest.
Yeah.
So it's been crazy, you know what I mean? Like, we've given some cool giveaways to some great people that like help support the podcast and like reach out to us on Twitter and stuff like that.
I think the saddest shit for me about this podcast is having to go get this cool ass giveaways and then just having to give them away.
Yeah, because we always end up getting like super dope ones. Like, me and you were just going over Jay's giveaway, which was about the Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah.
Because what hashtag did Jay use? It was
Jay used the hashtag Nerds for Justice, actually.
Oh yeah, so it was Nerds for Justice, and what was cool about that was Jay got a Canteen memorabilia from the Grave of the Fireflies movie, and he'd never seen Grave of the Fireflies. So then he watched Grave of the Fireflies, and then he goes back and listens to our episode. So it's like that feedback loop of like getting people involved in multiple levels.
Absolutely, yeah, because I mean, I can imagine myself a time before where if I would have gotten something like that I didn't know what it was about, I would definitely, you know, look into it.
Yeah. And like, maybe our most popular ever was the Humane Society of El Paso.
Yeah, and I have to blame the interaction with whoever was running their Twitter account.
Yeah, it's worth it. Like,
you know,
it's okay to hire somebody under 35 to run your Twitter account, because just having that little bit of interaction gets everybody involved.
And I think that was our biggest contribution so far. People
love dogs. That one was like extra hard to enter into the giveaway because we wanted a picture of everyone's dogs too. But everyone like was super accommodating to that. We got a bunch of cute doggo pictures and
some favorite anime pets as well.
Yeah, that one was hilarious because it was the Humane Society of El Paso's Twitter that was giving like the fox from Inuyasha and a dog. I don't even remember what dog it was.
Yeah, Edward? Wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't. Yeah. Oh no.
Not Edward.
Yeah, the stupid dog from
Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But yeah, okay.
Okay. So this episode is like not just like patting ourselves on the back for being such great philanthropists and like giving back to the city, but we're also reviewing like how we've come, like our journey along the way. You know what I mean? Because if anime has taught us anything, it's about the journey. It's not really about the destination, right?
Correct. Yeah. Perfect way to do it. Because this is a fucking podcast anime.
It's not, but it is kind of, because like we still do nerd downs where we talk about WandaVision, we talked about The Mandalorian,
and not only that, dude. Like, look at what we've been through. Like, you were going through your masters, and you only had time for the episodes while finishing your masters.
Oh, I forgot.
I'm becoming a dad, and I'm still doing the podcast. Like, there's arcing stories here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's just I don't really know how this all started. If anything, it was like you and Lloyd were drinking and like those 3 a.m. ideas hit and just like, let's start a podcast, bro. And I don't even know how I got dragged into this. I was just...
Well, because you got excited about the idea after me and Lloyd had talked about it, and you were like, yeah, let's do it.
Was I drinking too?
No. This was like after.
I don't even remember, because I don't even remember how that day happened, like the day we recorded the pilot. Because I think I just wanted to drink and hang out because you were renting the house that I'm renting now that has a pool. So I think my idea, it was probably like... It was early summer, so I think my idea was, hey, I'm just gonna go get drunk and just jump in the pool.
Hell yeah.
And then somehow I got sat down for an episode of a podcast.
Yeah, and it was great. The pilot is great. It's one of our most like popular episodes, or one of the most downloads.
Yeah, it's it is the most downloaded, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like RSS, which is the platform that we upload our episodes to. Maybe it features it on more sites as like a, hey, check out this new thing. But the conversation was really natural from the get-go. You know what I mean? It was just 3 dudes just hanging out, chilling, having some beers, and just like
having a nonsense conversation.
That conversation was hella nonsense. Like there was a lot of like
structure,
a lot of cancelable like kind of conversations. It was what it is. It was what it was.
But
like, I feel like the moment it happened, I was just like instantly addicted. Yeah, just
as soon as we finished doing it, and as soon as we uploaded it, like a week after.
No, it was like 3 weeks after. It was you yelled at Lloyd, remember?
Yeah, that's right. And then like 3 weeks after, it was about polishing like every episode.
Yeah, the first like it's hard for me to listen to like our first like 2 episodes because they're so rough. They're so like, and that was cool about like us being comfortable with each other, the 3 of us at the time.
And the mic, too.
Yeah, the mic was garbage. But, like, we didn't notice it. You can't tell the first episode for some reason.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was tripping on. No, but I don't mean about, like, the quality of the microphone. I mean about, like, the microphone in the room. Like, being comfortable talking to the mic and talking to our listeners than just talking amongst ourselves.
Yeah, it's like stage directions in a play. Like, you're cheating the audience. With, like, us right now, we're always cheating the mic. Like, we're always talking towards the mic, even though we're talking to each other. And the first, like, 2... episodes, like, 1 through 3 were... What I was going to say is it took us, like, being comfortable, like, being critical of each other to really, like, start to ramp up the quality of, like, the conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Chris Monson, who I was telling you, he listens to the podcast.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he told me that we've gotten really good at our conversation style.
If anything, I hate / love the way me and you record now because we're so good at it and we're so comfortable that it's easy for us to just, like, cheat it out. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, it's like, oh, fuck, what would I even compare it to? It's like... if you were watching like a really good like baseball player just like comfortably just walk up to the mound and just like hit
its thing.
Yeah, just hit it out without even giving a shit. Like,
yeah, and I don't feel that angst anymore of talking to the mic. You know, because I'm not talking to the mic, even though I am. Like, I'm having a conversation with you without looking at you almost like half the time.
Well, I think VNA was a huge help in the beginning because she was critical of us. VNA wanted it to be good, and VNA was able to come to us being like, "Yo, you guys need to stop talking over each other. Everyone needs to start talking towards the mic." And those first,
I was like in the basement in the first 3 episodes.
yeah, and we would always tell you like sit closer, and you're like, "Nah, I'm comfortable like sitting back in the chair." And it just took us also re-listening to our own episodes because episode 2's cringe as fuck. Like, I hate listening to that episode because it's like the first 3 episodes were my recommendations. Because if this podcast has taught me anything, is that like maybe I'm not as pretentious of an anime viewer as I originally thought I was. I feel like going into this, I'm like, oh, I know so much about anime. I could give the best tier list. Like, your anime recommendations are whack. Like, you don't understand like how good I am at this. And then like, so those first 3 episodes were just my recommendations being like, look at how good like my taste in anime is. We're gonna watch Madoka Magica, Bakemonogatari, and the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and like you're thinking my taste in anime is so fucking badass. And
I enjoyed our conversation more with episode 2, Melancholy of Suzumiya, than Bakemonogatari. I feel like Bakemonogatari did not have the energy required for it.
Those recordings have opposite problems. Because the energy was too high in the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya because we were all just talking over each other. Lloyd was super, super excited because the issue with episode 1 and 2 was Lloyd just like fell asleep while watching Bakemonogatari and had no idea what the plot was.
Correct.
So he took his notes for episode 2, like he came prepared, but it was just all of us just straight just talking over each other, which is just like the most unlistenable, just like
episode,
clusterfuck.
Really good anime, by the way. Really good animation. I have to say that those 5 episodes on the time loop kind of fucked me up.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a good anime. You know, it's not something I would deem like must watch.
You think so? Well, I agree. It just came down to like the culture of like when it came out. But I'm still upset like we haven't watched any of the Monogatari sequels because there's like 5 of them.
And those are really fun. I love the aesthetics and the way they're directed. Like it's a lot of busy dialogue, especially if you watch the sub. But it's fun. It's definitely
super hard to watch that.
Yeah.
This one's like what we watched this week, Love is War, that like there's so many like background conversations happening while the main character on screen is talking, and there's so much dialogue flying that like watching subs like almost impossible because there's like 6 lines and you don't know what's correlating to what. Yeah, you have to go cross-eyed just to watch the sub.
Hell yeah. And then But episode 3. Not only the conversation of Madoka Magica, like Madoka Magica was awesome because it just turned me around in the way I looked at anime as well. You know, because I was very critical as far as like, if I don't like this little aspect of it, like I'm not gonna watch.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
And you know, Magical Girls. This is probably the only magical girl anime that I know besides Sailor Moon.
Right.
You know. So, but it is intense. It is good. And then our conversation was awesome. Like, Lloyd took great notes for that episode.
It's still my favorite episode that we've recorded to this day. And like, it bums me out that it's like the 4th, 5th, like most downloaded and not higher. Because if it were up to me, like it's been out so long, I would just recommend everybody listen to our take on Madoka Magica. And like, I remember at one point, my fraternity brother, Brian, who I lived with for 4 years, was replying to me on Twitter about the podcast. And he was like, do like an intro level, like watch list. And like number 1 of things we'd watch, I'd be like, if you can just really watch something, even though you're probably not going to be comfortable watching it at first, and really give it a chance, it's Madoka Magica. Because that's going to be that one that's going to like broaden your scope on how you view like this medium.
Yeah, because if you can watch that one and appreciate it for what it is, I mean, you can watch anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, there's a little bit of fan service. Like, it's got like some uncomfortable, like it's
some progressive writing too.
It's really progressive writing. It's semi-thriller. It's sort of sci-fi because it's got time travel, but at the same time, it's straight fantasy because like they have magical powers. You get what I'm saying? And it's just like a clusterfuck of the best things of every genre you could throw into an anime.
That's great. I recently got myself a little Madoka figure, so that's badass. I like having that around.
Yeah, she judges us in the corner of the room.
Yep. She's keeping us from becoming witches.
From there, we had a 2-week gap after Madoka Magica. Because I can't even remember what happened, but we just couldn't get together for a week. But we were still trying to watch things weekly. Mm-hmm. So we watched Cowboy Bebop, but we couldn't record that weekend for some reason. So we kept watching SSS Gridman.
Correct.
And that one was, this was like where you start to learn that recording maybe isn't that easy, because like this was a long episode. I
was exhausted.
Me and you can record an hour and a half easy, like in a blink of an eye right now. But at the time, it's hard to stay focused. Like that mental capacity to stay on topic, stay high energy. Like you don't it's like, well, you've bartended. I've bartended a little bit. It's like that fake keeping your energy up that's just exhausting about your job. Karen works, she's a full-time bartender, you know what I mean? And like she sleeps a lot because she's exhausted. Just having to keep up that level of emotion that high to make people happy.
Absolutely.
Is so tiring. And then that makes me feel worse because we're about to sit here and record 2 episodes back to back.
Yeah, but I feel like now that we mentally prepare ourselves for these kind of things, I think it's a little bit easier.
At the time, it was like,
at the time, we were like, what the fuck? We're doing 2 fucking animes? Which we did. And I believe this would have to be my least favorite episode.
Ever? Not least favorite anime, but least favorite recorded episode that we've done.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Yes. Honestly, because I was disappointed that Cowboy Bebop, for me nerds, for my opinion, it did not age well.
No, I don't think it did.
You know what I'm saying?
And that was the issue, because like me and you wanted Lloyd to give that opposing opinion, because me and you were like, it's a little below, it's a little overrated. Like it's not bad, but it's a little overrated. And Lloyd just kept saying like, nah, y'all just wrong. You're wrong. And I remember us trying to bring it out through the conversation, like, but then like, what's wrong with it? Like, what's...
And then he kept agreeing with us, but at the end, he would just deny our point.
It was like we were arguing about the pacing, we were arguing about the dialogue, the villains, like the plot structure, and then it was just like, nah.
It's one of those things like...
It's because it's a vibe. Like, you can't...
Yeah, it's one of those like hipster things.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I use a Polaroid because, you know, it's old and cool.
Yeah, this is the pinnacle of 90s anime to me, so that's what makes it good.
Yeah, so... And we've talked about this phenomena that goes around with anime watchers, that they have separation anxiety with their animes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I get you. It's good.
That's why some people never move on from Dragon Ball Z.
It's moving. I like the music. I like the fights. I like the thing. But
the music was your favorite part of it.
Yeah, and it is. It still is. Like, it's one. I think that it might have the second place in best music from all the episodes that we watched.
What's one?
You know, I mean,
Steins Gate.
Just because I like you know, classical music and stuff like that, like Your Lie in April will be out there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that shit's fire. You're right.
And then also like the intro to Promise Neverland is really good.
I Want to Eat Your Pancreas had really good music.
So, but like as far as something jazzy and that beat and that is it right there.
Yeah,
you cannot go wrong with that.
And this is so like we had like a semi good conversation for that part, and then we still recorded for like another 45 minutes after that because we were talking about SSS Gridman, which I was super excited about because when it came out, I absolutely loved it. And this was like one of mine and your first like disagreements on like an anime because you just couldn't get into it. Like you didn't hate it, but like you just couldn't get into it.
No, it's because the deconstruction of Gridman's powers and everybody being like a thing and stuff like that. It reminded me of Digimon, but not as good.
It's like it's that writing trope of like it was all a dream, but like as a whole anime, because the whole world was just that little purple haired girl's like imagination.
And the character designs and stuff I didn't really like either.
I think for me it's because we're still trying to get into
Kaijus?
No, not kaijus. Getting into watching Studio Trigger things.
Oh, yeah.
And we still, after fucking 32 episodes, still haven't gotten around to it. And for me, it's a little nostalgia baiting because it reminds me of like the original Studio Trigger days. And that's why I love it. And the writing is just so, the plot is such a nothing burger that it's good, almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not everything needs to be a super crap. Sometimes I just want to just get Blitz on a Modelo and just
watch something. But either way, I feel like if you wanna compare it to that, I feel like Konosuba has the brain dead,
or Space Dandy
has the brain dead and good enough writing to you for you to be like, oh, cool, you know. But SS Gridman just did not grab my attention. Like the monsters, there was no motivation for me around it.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
I get it. It's just one of like, it's not even. You can't argue against it. It's just one of those, like, just a difference in opinions.
Even Akame wait till we get to Akame.
Wait till we get to Akame.
But
next was the movie episode.
Yes, but hold on. I am excited about the new Godzilla anime. We're gonna watch something kaiju. We haven't fucking watched kaijus in a while.
That one's gonna be cool, and that one we can watch the week it comes out because it's a Netflix drop.
Cool.
So we'll get all the episodes at once. Wow. So we can just binge the shit out of that. I'm planning on us watching the SSS Gridman sequel too. SSS Dynazenon, which I think is supposed to come out this year.
Okay. And if we thought we were tired recording 2 episodes, this fucking next episode of 5, Grave of the Fireflies, Akira, and Perfect Blue.
Well, I don't know what
fucking shit.
This was like, I think this was the brainchild of me and Lloyd at the time too, because we were just throwing good movies at the wall, and we thought because they were movies and not anime series that they'd be easier to talk about, which fucked us over so fucking bad because
I was exhausted, dude. Like, you know how they say that a person usually talks an average of certain words a day?
Yeah,
I feel like I went triple on that.
Yeah, just from that one day, you were triple on the week for that one day. It's because they're so good. It's just all of those movies are a straight fucking banger.
But I feel like we gave it justice.
Yeah,
like we had a good conversation, even though we were tired as fuck. I mean, Grave of the Fireflies again.
You know what's hilarious? Hold on. How long was the episode on Cowboy Bebop and SSS Gridman?
It was an hour and 30 minutes.
Okay, looking it up. I see you on your phone.
Yeah.
How long was the episode with those 3 movies?
2 hours and 20 minutes.
But see, we do that on the regular now. Like, think about that. Like, we did 2.5 hours like 2 weeks ago. For like, Rent a Girlfriend. No. Was it I Want to Eat Your Pancreas?
Yeah.
Silent Voice was long too.
Yeah.
A Silent Voice was probably a 2-hour episode.
But see, that's when the juices are flowing and we have a good conversation. Because it feels like the conversation that we had for Samurai Champloo was super long, and it wasn't.
No, it absolutely was not.
Because we even cover Domestic Girlfriend on that one.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, okay, hold on. We'll just move on for episode 5 quickly, because we've talked these into the fucking ground. Grave of the Fireflies. Top 2 saddest things we've ever fucking seen. Maybe top 1.
Maybe first, yeah, I think so.
Maybe first. Akira, fucking classic. What more is there to say about Akira?
Yeah.
Perfect Blue.
I think it's a sleeper on I think it's the most slept on from all these 3 of them.
Absolutely.
Perfect Blue.
Well, we shit on the animation quality a lot.
But it's old.
In our conversation, we mentioned that. We're like, it's old, but like you compare the budget to like Perfect Blue, which came out like 15 years after Akira, and it looks like shit. And Akira still looks like good. Still looks good at the time 2020.
And guys, if you guys know the Alamo Draft House, the cinema right there on the west side, they're opening one on the east side as well.
Yeah.
They're always showing it as a special showing.
Akira?
Perfect Blue.
Oh, yeah. They're always they show Akira too.
Oh, yeah. They show a lot of anime, which is awesome.
But that was like... Perfect Blue, we've referenced back to a couple times. We referenced back when we talked about Agretzko. I think we talked about it somewhat recently with maybe like Rent a Girlfriend, where it's like kind of stalkery. And like Perfect Blue is... It's
like Japanese Selena.
Yeah, it's literally like the plot. It's literally the plot to Selena.
Yeah, it's Japanese Selena. Like it. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It's good. The girls didn't see that one.
And then Lloyd moved. So like we took 2 weeks off. If episode 5 came out August 11th, episode 6 came out August 19th. So we were like, we were like a half a week late because we had to figure out what the fuck we were going to do because Lloyd moved to Austin for his fancy engineering job. Mm-hmm. So the next thing we watched was The Promised Neverland. I don't even know why we watched it. I think this was your recommendation. You just walked up one day and was like, hey, we're watching The Promised Neverland. And I was like, oh, okay.
I think so. Yeah. And it was, yeah, we did come to some barriers, with Lloyd working over there, but he just had recently started his job. So he was just busy of the shits. Right now he's in Ireland.
In Ireland.
Ireland.
And this episode was cool. It was weird at first. I don't think we'd completely been comfortable with the 2-man recording style because with the 3 of us, it's super easy for the third person to pick up the slack.
Yeah, to bounce shit off. And we have learned how to work with the mic as well instead of saying long or stuff like that. We just remain quiet
and just trying to fill up space. Mm-hmm. But the way we end up recording anyways, we're cutting dead space from the recording. Correct. So it's okay. It's an alright episode. I haven't re-listened to it, but I know that it was fairly popular because I remember Karen had listened to it a few times because The Promised Neverland was maybe at this point, maybe the most current thing we've seen. Mm-hmm. And it's maybe we'll come back to it because season 2 is going on right now. There's a lot of controversies between it and the manga. But as far as the episode itself, I don't remember a whole lot from that day.
Yeah, that day was...
It's because the audio was shit too, because since we moved locations to where you were living at the time, mm-hmm. We hadn't yet you hadn't yet padded and prepped with the noise pads all over the room. Correct. So it sounded really echoey, and I remember that being where I started having issues with the audio quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would get upset listening to our own episodes. I'm I can't even listen to it more than once. It's just not there.
Yeah. And great anime. I remember starting the podcast room right there on the guest room of the house that you're currently living at. And I don't know, it was cool once I got the pads. Once I started getting the pads and we covered pretty much the stuff, we still had a shitty microphone.
Because the next 5 episodes are all on that same mic. Mm-hmm. It's not until episode 11 that we finally got the new mic.
No, even Darling was...
No, okay, well, I just mean, after the next 5.
So then the next episode, we had our first guest. And we have some guests here in...
No. The next one was Samurai Champloo and Domestic Girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Which was our first hilarious episode for me. Because I remember I was working at the lab, at the water company lab, and just listening to that podcast during the day, I was cracking up, in my lab section. I was fucking dying. It was... Yeah, just
suppositories.
Just trying to hold in those dumbass giggles because we talked about Samurai Champloo. We were honestly, it's dope, but it has the same faults that Cowboy Bebop has. And because it's the same director, same producer, it might as well be the same fucking anime. It's just a different timepiece.
And you know what? Now that I think about it, Champloo, that's his name, right? The main character. What's the name?
Mugen.
There you go. Mugen. Mm-hmm. Is Luffy.
Yeah. Oh! Yeah.
Right? It's almost as if the same character is drawn in different animated, animation styles.
Yeah, but this is that hyper-realistic, ugly, late 90s, early 2000s anime style.
Correct.
And this is that anime style that you like, where it's those long bodies, and everyone looks like...
Slender body.
Yeah, everyone looks like Slender Man.
Yeah. But, yeah, great.
Domestic Girlfriend, hilarious. If there was something that I would tell you, what's the best piece of early parts of the anime, just listen to the second half of episode 7 where we're talking about Domestic Girlfriend.
I'm kind of sad that wasn't just a standalone episode.
It should have been, because it was it's just so funny. It's just stupidly funny.
We're getting season 2 sometime. So,
who knows when? I haven't heard a date or anything like that.
But I can't wait to listen to that. So what I was going to say, we had a handful of new people introduced to anime as guests and some, veteran watchers, Mm-hmm. Thank you everybody for the guests that being here. Valentin was our first one, but he was a little,
he was shy. He was quiet because I don't even remember why we brought him in for Agretzko. I think I just wanted to have like a guest. We were just playing around with the guest idea, and I was like, Valentin will do it. Like Valentin, he's just a nice dude, and he'll just jump on just for the sake of it. Mm-hmm. And then I asked him like, "Yo, what do you want to watch?" He's like, Agretzko. Okay, we'll watch fucking Agretzko. Yeah. But like you're saying, he got a little sauced up, and then it's just a conversation between me and you about Agretzko with like a couple things from Valentin.
Good shit that I watched it because I wouldn't known that. I wouldn't have talked anything about Agretzko.
Yeah, we would have had to just like cut it from the whole episode, like without that.
By the way, Agretzko is the second anime, or is the first anime of 2 that it's placed in an animal world. Mm-hmm. The other one being Beastars.
Yeah, amorphized animals, or what's that term?
I can't.
Just humanoid animals, like in a society. It's fucking Zootopia.
Yeah, we also saw 3 Shinkai movies.
Bro, why did we do that all as one episode?
I don't know, but it was great.
Well, I remember when we were going to record it, I was a little upset with you because you watched a bad stream.
YouTube video.
Yeah, you watched a bad stream to your name.
And you cut a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced that you have a good sense of what your name's about because you watched such a bad recording of it. But as long as you see the quality in the Garden of Words, like... I don't know. Like the Garden of Words is excellent.
I think that's top of all 3 of them that we watched.
But see, I think your name's pretty good. But like you've never fully seen your name. Mm-hmm. But because the Garden of Words is that like supreme anime quality animation. You know what I mean? Like those dumbass tweets that are like, "Isn't anime so beautiful that I see every fucking day?" They're just Garden of Words screenshots
with a little piano song in the background, and it's like, and then it's just Shinkai.
The plot doesn't matter. Like especially with the Garden of Words, it's literally just him, just like
fetishizing our some feet.
Yeah, they're all about feet. I don't know why, but watch the Garden of Words. What can I say?
Yeah, that's great. It's a great movie.
Well, maybe so all these other ones I'd already seen. From this point forward, I've seen literally everything that we'd watched. But the first episode, that was something that I was a little apprehensive to watch because I hadn't seen it. And at the time I was still so like fake pretentious about like your
anime taste?
Yeah, my anime taste was Space Dandy. And I was like, I guess. And I tried to like talk myself into it. Like I'm going to like it. But Space Dandy was cool. You know what I mean?
It is cool.
It's one of those just like every episode's a standalone adventure. It's like...
Do you find it that is something like entry level?
No.
No?
Yes and no. It's just because like episode 1 is literally just about him going to the titty bar.
Yeah. The whole thing is about going to the titty bar.
Yeah. So like I almost can't... Because someone that is not used to like anime fan service is going to be turned off by that. And they're going to be like, why is he obsessed with this 2D blonde chick with big tits? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, perv.
Yeah, but it's funny, you know what I mean? Every episode seems mindless until like you really sit down and think about them. Mm-hmm. Because you've brought up several times the Purgatory episode of Space Dandy.
Yeah.
Where you go half the episode not even realizing that he's dead or in the afterworld, or they don't even explain what it is. It's so open-ended. But the anime style changes every episode. So for this episode, it might as well have been like a horror anime, or like it was just so tense, and it was a gothic imagery kind of thing going on.
Yeah, and the message from that episode, it was that everybody being in like this limbo place, they could not feel joy nor pain, but Space Dandy was like, fuck that, I want to go to the titty bar.
Yeah.
He's like, what? Why should I live if I can't go to the titty bar?
Yeah, even if the rest of life sucks, like at least there's a titty bar at the end of the day.
Yeah. And that's what the message is like, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. You know what I'm saying? You gotta enjoy what you do.
Absolutely. So these next 3 are the worst of the anime of the sound quality.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Absolute garbage. And what's hilarious is that episode 11, you hear me apologizing about the sound quality from the episode before, and it's still bad.
Yeah,
because
the potato mic went full baked potato mic.
It did. It just we just hit the limitations of what we could do with that fucking mic. But these episodes are so popular on our downloads, and it's almost upsetting to me because it's like, for what? Like
fuck. Yeah.
Like, I hate that these are like some of our most downloaded, because for me, they're like impossible to listen to because the audio quality is so bad. But they're really popular anime. Like we watched Hunter x Hunter, season 1 of Hunter x Hunter. We haven't watched subsequent seasons. We're still waiting for like people on our Twitter to recommend the rest of it. But that's a good, like, classic, like, modern classic anime.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, Darling in the Franxx. That was the first time I watched that, and that shit is crazy.
That's at this point, like, in recording, that's like my second favorite of like our breakdowns of something, because we had some real critiques for Darling in the Franxx. Like, we like Darling in the Franxx, you know what I mean? But we had some real genuine issues that like just went unresolved with the studio, and we broke it down. We were like, we're pretty sure it's because too many hands were in the pot when producing it. It's like only half the episodes are good. Those half episodes are spectacular, like amazing, like, but the ending is so just god awful garbage. It might as well just not exist.
Yeah, it is. It is hot garbage. But yeah, it was a great anime. It was the first fucking anime that we
funny. That was funny.
We laughed our asses off, like just talking about
we laughed in Domestic Girlfriend.
Huh?
We laughed in Domestic Girlfriend.
Yes, but this was like that
from beginning to end. It's just us giggling and like just trying to get through the episode.
And again, we point out this a lot, like the difference between what they're trying to do and like what Konosuba is. You know what I'm saying? Konosuba knows it's like, you know, the middle school kind of fucking humor, but then Darling in the Franxx wants to be smart about it. You know what I'm saying?
They're trying to be highbrow about like girls' butts like in front of dudes' faces.
What do you mean sexual references? I don't see any sexual references. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You know,
the audio clip I always think about is like me trying to describe like kissing, because you hear them just like docking on each other and talk about kissing, and it's just them just so many innuendos on innuendos on innuendos.
I think my favorite part about that whole anime was the Goro cucking fest.
You made fun of him so bad, bro.
It's funny, dude.
The whole recording, it's just you being like, yeah, and Goro's a cuck.
Because Ichigo, right? That's her name?
Yeah.
Ichigo's like, yeah, he doesn't care. He's cool with it. It's like, come on, let's go. Jesus Christ.
Hilarious.
It's crazy.
And then the last potato quality audio was Food Wars, which is, again, like a fairly popular episode of ours, which is kind of upsetting.
And I feel like we ran into a problem we hadn't ran into before, that it was hard to describe something that is so it's visually funny.
Yeah, it's all like visual gags, and it was so hard for us to like get around to it, because like us recording it wasn't actually that funny. It's like, oh yeah, there's a funny picture here. Imagine that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I like that in our episode with Konosuba, we did better.
No, we did. I just think it's funny that like every episode relates to the Konosuba episode.
It's because it's so...
That's like the pinnacle of us recording.
Like Konosuba and Akame ga Kill are like in the median of the spectrum of what anime is. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa, what?
Like, they land in the average area of what the anime spectrum is. You get me?
You think?
I think so.
I don't get... Hold on. We'll get to this in a minute. Erased. Amazing. Because this was the month of October, and we were like, we're all just going to watch horror and, like, thriller anime.
Who won the October giveaway?
The October giveaway was maybe Alex. I don't even remember which hashtag that was.
September was the Humane Society, and that was Valentin. He won our Ryuk.
Right.
You know? And that was great, because the Humane Society, because of their tweet, they got themselves exposure, and they helped themselves get donations from us.
Right.
You know? And we've talked about this. Like, every time we choose like an organization or something, we try to give them the courtesy of like, hey, we're gonna mention you in Twitter.
We tweet at everybody a bunch of times, but like Humane Society is the only one that like actually reached back. Which is why like Berserk, I remember like between like our connected friend group, I remember everyone talking about it that week. I remember Karen was super into it. I remember I would come over and hang out with you, and VNA was talking about it. You were obsessed with it. I think you watched it twice that week because it's kind of short. And it's just, Erase is just amazing, and they don't stick the landing.
They don't.
Like, amazing. Like, it could have been like a 10 out of 10, like just short masterpiece of an anime.
Yep.
and they just punted it. It was just, it's ass. Like, well, the ending's ass because we started bringing up the concept of like anime trying to finish before the manga's being published.
Correct.
So then the writers and directors of the show
They don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah, so they just make up some random bullshit and it ends up being god awful.
And in this case, it was fucking awful. Yeah, I mean, it was. There was no gain. I didn't get any pay. You know what I'm saying?
Nope. All build up and like you think it's gonna be this great emotional standoff, and then it's just like no.
Yeah, it just ramps down.
Yep, this shit doesn't matter.
But yes, we did watch Berserk. I think Berserk has to be one of my favorite episodes.
We had Lloyd back for this episode because Lloyd got like
set up
at home. He got a mic, and we were trying this like video call / recording format. And it was hard. You know what I mean? It was really hard.
There was a little delay.
Right.
The quality in which is recorded through that software is not as... It doesn't give a lot of data on like the sound and stuff like that. So it's kind of choppy as well. Mm-hmm. But it was good. I think it was great. Not only because I quote unquote ruined it from you, but I thought that was hilarious what I did to you.
It's just, we talked about it last week too. It's just because you had told me that the main female character gets like raped when I'm on episode 2, so then I go 24 episodes just waiting for a raping that happens at the very last scene of the last episode.
Yeah.
And Berserk is like this is not an entry level anime. It was never officially premiered in the US on television. It's really ugly. It doesn't want you to feel good at any point ever. It doesn't want you to be comfortable.
No, Adult Swim skipped out on the
Yeah, like if Adult Swim skips out on something, it's like, what the fuck was it?
Absolutely. I mean, demon rape is no joke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's not even what most of it is. Most of it's fucking the plot to Game of Thrones. It's just like trying to work your way up through a medieval society.
Yeah, I love that we just made Griffith the woman in the show. It's great. You know what I'm saying? But it was a fun episode. I think that was one of my second favorite episodes, I think.
Really?
Again. Yeah, just because I enjoy our conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I miss Lloyd having for stuff like that because it was just easier. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, well, for me, one of my favorite recordings we've done was Your Lie in April. This was the first time that we both cried on the mic. Like, this one was rough. It was a weird week, too. I can't...
A1 Studios as well.
A1 Pictures. A1 Pictures. Just always just trying to tie up people's heartstrings. Because this one was... It was a weird week. Because I remember I was super busy with school. I hadn't been talking to nobody. I had a terrible week and maybe yelled at everybody I know through text at one point through that week. But we sat down, did that recording, and it was real genuine. You know what I mean? It was great conversation. It was real emotion. It was that head change I needed from an anime because it's about middle school kids dying of neurological disorders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was a good change and a good change up on what we were watching. And now, before this podcast, I mean, every nerd has this problem. They have their watch list filled up with all this anime they watch, but they end up watching the same fucking 3 animes they've always watched, right?
Right.
So, us doing this, having to watch something different, it is crazy because now, I mean, we're at the end of February. We're finishing this love, friendship, month. And I'm fucking tired of it.
Yeah. And this was probably the first one we watched like this because Domestic Girlfriend wasn't even romance. It's just trash.
Spicy. Yeah,
it's just trash.
Spicy trash.
It's just novellas. It's just daytime television kind of trash. People walking in on each other fucking kind of trash.
Yeah, but it was great.
And Your Lie in April is just the music excellent. This is probably the best music of anything we've watched.
One of the topics that we did mention in Your Lie in April, it was about how her mom, knowing that she was dying and she just wanted to give his son a better opportunity of life, a higher quality of life, she ended up hurting her own kid because of it. And we talked about it being such average human behavior,
Yeah, it's human error.
Yeah, and I think the mom, because when I remember in that episode, you're like, why am I supposed to feel bad about the mom? It's some people just don't have no choice to do this weird behavioral choices that they do.
Yeah, because what had happened was the kid was a piano prodigy. His mom was a really famous piano teacher, and she would beat the shit out of him to get him to practice piano.
The Jackson 5 special. We talked about
No,
this
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like, and then she died while he was still fairly young. Like, he was in elementary school when she died, and now he just had this PTSD about playing the piano, even though he was, like, really good at it. Like, it's 1,000% what he should have been doing. Mm-hmm. So, this is, again, one of my, I talked about it 2 weeks ago. It's, like, my favorite writing girl trope. It's just a really loud, big personality woman that just, like, grabs this shut-in by the hand and, like, opens him up to the world again. Mm-hmm. Which is the literal plot to Your Lie in April.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's awesome. I like shit making me feel different type of ways,
Mm-hmm. So it was exactly what we needed at the time, because the next episode we took a recommendation from a Twitter poll and we watched Parasite the Maxim, and she was asked that she was the literal worst thing we've watched. Like, there's maybe 1-2 things out of everything we'd watched that I tell somebody just like, no, just flat out skip it. Like, don't watch it whatsoever. And Parasite the Maxim's like number 1 on that list. It's like just it offers you nothing in a viewing experience.
Yeah, I think it's my least favorite anime we've watched.
It's just the worst characters, the worst voice acting, the worst writing. So, like, the character, the villain designs are cool for an episode, and then it's cheap animation quality too. Like, everything has this weird grainy filter over it to, like, so you don't notice that it's animated shittily, and it just all looks bad. It's just real bad.
Yeah.
This one was hard for me to finish that week too. I remember I finished it like right before I went over to record. I was just like,
absolutely. But one of the hidden gems that we have learned to love was episode 17, Akame got killed.
Akame got killed. Excellent. I remember.
I think it's a grower. It grew on me.
Yeah, it
like
did.
Even after we finished it, I go back, and we've done this before. We go back and think about it. We're like, that was a legit fucking anime.
It's just, and this is again one of those ones that's like everything's wrong with it. Like on a base level, everything's wrong with it. It's super cheesy power system. It's like super cheesy writing, super average character designs, super average motivation.
You can see the fan service coming a mile away.
Yes, absolutely. The jokes are corny. And this one won on Twitter poll too. And I remember Lloyd was talking shit about it on Twitter at the time. And he was like, yo, this shit's ass. Like, I don't want to watch anything that, like, is on Netflix or it's super popular that people watch. And this is one of those ones that I'm talking about. Maybe I just like anime because everything's wrong with it, but I liked it anyways.
It's great. It was cool. I mean, like you said, like very weak writing, but the way they spend their budget on their animations during the fights, it was great.
Yeah. You just want big Sakuga laser beams, like Akame got kills it. And the side plots aren't that bad either. Like, the main character falls in love with the non-titular named title character. He doesn't even fall in love with Akame. He falls in love with somebody else, and she dies tragically the very next episode, which normally would be a huge writing red flag that you would never do. Mm-hmm. But it still pays off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Akame doesn't do shit till the last episode.
Bro, honestly, the only thing that upsets me about Akame got killed, I don't understand why it's named Akame got killed. Like, Akame is like the least important character in the entirety of the anime.
I don't know.
No idea.
I don't know. No idea. You know what? I'm not going to question it because it's like cool. I think this will be also, I mean, it doesn't get super fan servicey.
No. This is a good entry level
one. Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. It's dope. It's like the next one, Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan is good.
Season 1. Which we had both Karen and Vianney here.
Thank you, girls, for coming.
Yeah, and this one was dope. This one was such like a good conversation. It was a little bit on the long side. You got tired.
I got very tired.
And it was just, it was a slog, but it was cool that the girls were there to pick up the slack.
Because this is something that they hadn't seen, and it's not something that... I mean, the girls, we know them. Mm-hmm. They're very critical about why we watch anime, because it's just anime titties all the time.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they were able to sit down and watch this and actually like it.
Yeah, it's exciting, you know what I mean? This is really what it feels like to be in like a modern classic while something's coming out, is watching the progression of the Attack on Titan series. And it's, I don't know, me and you weren't even excited because this was like, we've seen it multiple times already. Yeah. Everyone knows everything about it. And it's just, the most important part for me and the show recording wise is that like it was like it helped us build like that repertoire of like doing like a 4-person format.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which
it's just kind of hard like when you think about it, because the issue there then becomes like how much do you let your guests speak? Mm-hmm. Like how much structure do us as the host need to have? Mm-hmm. So that like the conversation seems free flowing.
Correct. Yeah. But it was a great anime. Thank you girls again. That was awesome. What do we got? We're what?
NGE episode 19. Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah, we're on episode 19 already.
Yeah.
Man, we've gone through so much.
Yeah.
I believe NGE was a great conversation.
It was dope. It was better than I thought it was going to be, because I remember watching the main series throughout the week. I'm like, wow, this shit's like, it's kind of hard to watch. It wants it to be hard to watch. Like, it was directed with the purpose of being hard to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It wants you to feel part of the accomplishment in just getting through it.
And it wants you to pay attention as well.
Yeah.
It's not dumb fun, something you can just have playing on the background.
It doesn't even come together until you watch the movie The End of Evangelion.
And it doesn't even come together
all that much.
And so we talked about it. I kind of think that I have a good grasp of what NGE is about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We kind of watched things out of order, because we watched The Darling and the Franxx first before this.
Correct.
If anything, we should have watched this before we started Darling and the Franxx.
Yeah.
Because once we watch this, we're comparing the whole thing to Darling and the Franxx, which isn't fair to NGE, because NGE is like the pretext to Darling and the Franxx.
Correct.
And that's another knock on Darling and the Franxx, is that like you stole the plot to NGE. Like, well, I'm not gonna pat you on the back to that.
Correct. And they try to make it more spicy, which I enjoy. Mm-hmm. But I mean, NGE it's great. It's one of the pinnacles of anime, I believe. You know?
Yeah. Like big brain anime writing, like it's NGE probably, and like Steins Gate.
Yeah,
and maybe Code Geass, I guess.
Yeah.
But next we watch FLCL. We watch all 3 series, the original, progressive, and alternative.
I could have done with those last 2, man.
Yeah, and you rushed through them, and like you didn't remember a lot. And I remember I had tried to pay attention while watching them, and I couldn't even remember, because the sequels are so garbage that there is 0 point in watching anything past the original of FCL.
Yeah, that's all you need. 6 episodes of the original FLCL.
That was what was cool about the original. It's only 6 episodes, so you just breeze through it and you're left hungry for more, which is maybe why you would dip your toe into the sequels, but they just ruin the feeling of the original. It's such a money grab. It's such like, well, like when we went into the history of it, it was picked up by Adult Swim before it was ever greenlit to be produced in Japan. Mm-hmm. Because the American Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, like, company just needed an easy cash grab. And they were like, oh, this shit was popular in 2003. We'll just pick up the sequels.
Yeah. Yeah, man, but it's still those 6 episodes are really good.
Yeah, excellent. 10 out of 10. Well, yeah. But, so, this is where we get into, like, the anime you've been referencing the most so far in this conversation, which is Konosuba.
Yes.
Konosuba, funniest anime ever created, ever. Like, it's not even up for debate. Konosuba is hilarious. But it has a fuck ton of fan service.
Yes. Which was also, like, I mean, because the funniest shit, it's always darkness.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, the continuous funny stuff, it's always darkness.
And what's the gimmick with her? It's that she's...
masochist.
Yeah, masochist. She likes getting beat up and shit.
Not only physically, emotionally, mentally, anyway.
Like, if somebody tries to dom her through conversation, it's just like, shut up, bitch, and, like, get on your knees. She's like, oh, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. And again, one of the difficult things about explaining that episode or talking about that episode is the visual cues that you get from, darkness.
I still think we did well because
we got better. We definitely did better than the Food Wars.
Yeah, and I think it's because we learned through Food Wars. Like, you really have to do like a little bit of effort in trying to describe the visual gag almost. Like, you don't have to explain it verbatim, but you can prefix it by being like, this is hilarious because this happens. And you have to be extra descriptive, but you trying to describe a titty bar, strip club, succubi, dream selling hentai fantasy is like the funniest part of trying to get people to understand what's funny about that episode.
And if you remember, our first recording of that episode got lost in the
gulag.
In the gulag, bro.
I forgot. I completely forgot that happened. We had to record that twice. Did we do it the same day?
No, we did it the day after. We were so like tired and bummed out that we just went home and cried. Because I stayed home.
We did it better the second time.
Yeah, we definitely did. I think that first recording was meant to be sent into a fucking.
We burnt it up. Your laptop demolished that audio episode on purpose.
On purpose, yeah.
Because because we learned what was wrong about us trying to describe it. Because we were going about it the same way as Food Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is the exact wrong way. So we jumped off those good vibes there because it was really hectic for you. Because I remember it started with FLCL. You were starting to move. Mm-hmm. You were moving houses. You were super stressed. You were working a lot. That bled into Konosuba a little bit, which is why that sucked even more that we lost that recording because you had been tired from like just work and moving houses and stuff. So it wasn't until like a week after that you were finally comfortable in the house that we're recording in right now. And we got like a really good quality anime at like the perfect time. You know what I mean? Like, all the pieces were lining up and we were at the right house at the right place and we watched Steins Gate, which is like a great, like excellent written sci-fi thriller. It's just, I want to watch the sequel. Hopefully we'll get around to the sequel, but like Steins Gate, the original is just excellent.
I want to say my best Tsundere.
Tsundere?
Yeah.
And I don't even remember her name. What is her name? It's like he gives her an American name like Christina or something like that.
Yeah, Christina, assistant, zombie.
And I remember like Kurisu.
Yeah.
Kurisu. And it's just it's sad. It's sad. This was one of those that like I had started and just never finished because I couldn't get past like the median point where it's just like peak sadness. And it's just I think this is a good like beginning level anime for a lot of people. The most off-putting part would probably be like the
when the little girl gets touching her private places.
What?
Yeah, remember that girl that turns into a boy and the boy that turns into a girl?
I was gonna say the trans writing.
Oh, the trans writing?
Yeah, so that's exactly what you're talking about. We're talking about the same exact character. Mm-hmm. And it's just if you're not really all that progressive, then you might find issue with it because the writing's so not gonna baby you about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
just like matter of factly like, yo, this person's trans,
and that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. Like it's super like if this girl boy likes the main character, like, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And it's excellent. It's great. It's one of those big brain things. Like there's maybe like 3 anime that we've seen that are like super, super, super big brain. And Steins Gate's one of them.
Yeah, I think, and like you're saying, like an entry level anime. I think this is a good one for that because even though it has pseudoscience and shit like that, it has smart writing.
Yeah.
And I feel like for somebody to be like, I don't watch anime because it's just a bunch of cartoons. Mm-hmm. It's like, well,
even the relationship writing was really like this was one of the first ones that we've seen that's like college age people too. Everyone was like 20, 21, 19, and as opposed to being just high school forever because anime. Mm-hmm. And we like rode those good waves into like an easy week, and I can't remember why we did it, but we ended up watching Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, this is where we watched Howl's Moving Castle. We watched Ghost in the Shell, both movies. So it made our
Why did
weeks.
we do that? We decided to take it easy for 2 weeks, and I don't remember why.
I think because we did like. I can't remember why, but it just worked out that way. That it was Howl's Moving Castle because we wanted to do another Ghibli movie, and Ghost in the Shell because I really wanted to do it.
Yeah. And Ghost in the Shell is probably the one I've taken most from as far as those episodes because I've seen Howl's Moving Castle I don't know how many times.
Correct.
It's just one of those that like you're mildly interested in anime. You've seen it 10 times without even thinking about it. And we recently within the past 2 weeks got like some not hate mail, but we got some criticism about our takes on Howl's Moving Castle.
For Brenda, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like ends up being one of those pieces of media that's been talked about so much we don't even know what else to add to it.
Correct.
It was like us talking about Akira. Like everything's been dissected into the ground about that.
And I feel that the girls, it would have been a good episode if the girls would have helped us because sometimes we need the child sense of wonder of a new anime watcher.
That's so mean. They're not children.
No, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like the new introduction to something.
Yeah, we just need that fresh face perspective. And that's what Ghost in the Shell is how I looked at that because I'd never actually seen Ghost in the Shell all the way through. Like I've seen like bits and pieces on Adult Swim. I've seen like the sequels or like those sub movies that are
in that span of like 10 years, right? Like,
right, yeah, and you never know the plot. You know what I mean? It's just shit that you randomly wake up to at 3 a.m. because you fell asleep with the TV on, and. You know what I mean? It's dope. It's very 1985, like the book not like the year, but it's very
cyberpunk.
I was gonna say utopian, but not the opposite of a utopia. It's a dystopia.
Yeah,
it's a dystopian cyber future that was seen through the 80s and 90s. Like I almost wish the future ended up like that because that shit looks way dope.
Absolutely, because we even made a joke in that episode that like one of the structures in that movie was how 80s people thought the internet worked.
Yeah. Which is like, I wish it fucking worked like that. That'd be like amazing.
Yeah.
But then, like, our best month, like, just statistically, like downloads, just like the ramp up in, of like mentions on Twitter and just like, there was a lot of productivity in the month of January. And we just did 4 straight weeks of guests. And it ended up working immaculately. Like, and probably maybe the best or the second best was the very first week, which was Jacob.
Yeah.
And we watched like a super entry level anime because we watched Fire Force. I wasn't excited about it because I remember I watched the entirety of season 1. I was a little, it's just not great. You know what I mean? It just doesn't do anything exceptionally well that I've never seen before.
Correct. But it has its moments of its own individuality.
But it's like you were talking about having that fresh face Jacob in the room with us, who's our resident fire person. It was dope. You know what I mean? Because he brought so much because he just looks at things differently. If anything, him knowing how critical we are of anime had him trying to think like we think.
Correct. And I was very proud of him.
Yeah, it was a productive conversation and it just set the tone for the rest of the month. You know what I mean? Because we're bringing the best out of our guests, I think. It was just...
I think one of the most, like, super hype fucking intros. I love that intro to the first fucking season of
Fire Force?
Fire Force?
Yeah. The OP there is probably the best out of everything we've seen. And we make fun of a lot of them because some of them are, like, so period pieces, but, like, not in the writing. It's not until, like, you watch the opening sequence that you're like... Yeah, this shit came out in 2002, huh? Like, and that's how Steins Gate was. But then going to this, it's just a loud guitar, just loud ass Japanese music, and just fire blasting everywhere.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, it was great. And man, we're already in January. Yeah, thank you to our guests, CJ, Jacob. Thank you very much. Our next episode was with CJ, right?
Yeah, CJ, we watched One Piece. Me and you had to plan this one out. I sat you down because you wanted to watch One Piece. You wanted to get into One Piece, which is like, so what I'm like so proud of you of when it comes to this, because you're just so productive sometimes. You know what I mean? Like you're so when I'm apprehensive to do something because of the amount of time we might have to put in or like the amount of work and structuring we're going to have to do when it comes to like a new concept, you're already down. Like you're already past that conversation. And that's how it was with One Piece because we had to watch like almost 50 episodes here. And we sat down like 3 weeks before and I was like, dude, if you really want to watch One Piece, that's why we did the movies.
Yeah.
That's why we did the movies. We watched 2 weeks of movies because I was like, we're going to structure the time around you needing to watch extra episodes.
Because you already knew what it was about. Even without watching the first 42 episodes, which puts you on the Arlong arc. Mm-hmm. And you could have talked about it with CJ whatsoever, but me watching this 42 episodes was a great experience.
It was great fun. Experience. Me hearing from you during the week on like how much you were enjoying it, you know, because this is one of those like, oh, it's so good, but you have to really try to give it a chance. Mm-hmm. And that's why like most people, my brother literally texted me about anime the other week and he was like, I don't know what to watch. I was like, watch One Piece. Mm-hmm. He was like, no, I'm not gonna watch through 900 episodes. I was like, no, just watch 40 episodes. Yeah, just watch like 40 episodes and like you'll understand. Mm-hmm. And you being able to like grasp that, me and CJ were like dumbfounded. It was
great. It was one of my greatest experiences. I had more fun watching 42 episodes of One Piece than 24 or 25 episodes of Cowboy Bebop.
Or Darling in the Franxx.
Or Darling in the Franxx. You know?
And we, going on with this month of just having guests, we brought on Valentin again. He's besides the girls, our biggest recurring guest. Because Valentin is like really productive with us on Twitter. And
which we appreciate.
Yeah, which we appreciate a lot. So we try to reward that level of interaction. He's recommended to us several anime. He's really productive in the polls. He retweets us a lot. And he uses the hashtag almost every month. So we were like, we'll give Valentin the chance to talk about Soul Eater, which is something that he'd been talking about for like a couple months since our October scary month.
Correct.
And so it was Soul Eater's cool. I'm not surprised that you didn't like it, but I was a little sad that you didn't like it because I feel like it offers a lot, but I understand why you couldn't get into it.
I disliked. I didn't like it. It was probably like my least favorite anime we watched.
More than Parasite?
Above Parasite.
Really?
No, like Parasite was
the lowest.
The lowest of the low.
Oh, okay.
I think Soul Eater will have to be on top of this. And
I like Soul Eater. And like, I don't see a reason to like come back to it, even though we've only watched maybe like a fifth of the episodes, but it doesn't ever change from what we've seen, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, if you don't like that, you're not going to be convinced with another 40 episodes.
Correct.
But I'm glad Valentin was there. He seemed super excited and was into the conversation, which is like one of my best or my favorite guest episode is the Spirited Away episode we had where we brought the girls back. We brought Vianney and Karen back, and that's like my favorite guest episode is this episode of Spirited Away because it was perfect. I think Vianney did a great job leading the conversation because Vianney took really, really good jokes. Notes.
Yes.
Vianney took really good notes.
Which is hilarious, bro.
And Karen was able to with that fresh face perspective, like go off what Vianney was picking up on, because it's another one of those where we didn't even have to talk really, because it's one of those things that's been talked into the ground.
Correct.
And if anything, we just would bring shit up to put things into perspective. Like, they would be like, I don't understand why this happened. Well, wait. Well, that's because of this other myth or whatever the fuck.
Correct. Yeah, and I feel like that's why Brenda was upset at Howl's Moving Castle.
We should have brought a guest for that episode.
Because the way we talked about it, it was the way that two people that had already seen it would talk about it.
If there were ones that we could do over... Valentin's brought up to me like every time I see him that we need to redo the Darling in the Franxx episode. I think that's because he secretly wants to be in it, so I don't know. I don't trust the motivation there. Mm-hmm. But if there were one that I wish we could like really do over with another guest and like try to think of somebody brand new, would be Howl's Moving Castle.
Okay.
Because I think we just like we
slopped it.
We couldn't go. Yeah, we tried to go so big brain, but there's nothing to talk about to be so big brained about because it's all been broken down.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, we broke it down on a way that, you know, like oversimplifying it, almost, you know? Like, when I say that Berserk is about demon fucking, it's not about demon fuck, you know? But
if that was your first episode listening to our podcast, you would not re-listen to it because we did not give it that extra little bit of oomph that maybe it deserved. But that's because we need that other person.
Because something that it's popular, right? And we don't want to be redundant. And you've said this before. We don't want to be redundant. But that takes us to what?
Beastars.
Beastars, great.
Beastars, great. Top 3 music of anything we've seen.
Oh, yeah.
My candidate for what was anime of the year, there's no way that anybody that really watches every anime that's nominated for anime of the year would choose Jujutsu no Kaisen when Beastars is in.
And it's funny, when I saw that tweet by Crunchyroll, I was like, nostalgia grab. Like, it was such a nostalgia grab. It's like, and then after that, you tweeted, it's like, what'd you say? Your argument to that being pick of the year cannot be from the past.
No, the tweet was,
something was made before.
Your logic for Jujutsu no Kaisen being anime of the year for 2020 cannot be an episode that came out in 2021.
Correct. Because
it's still ongoing.
Correct.
Like we're in February of 2021 right now and it's ongoing. The best episodes have happened in the past 3 weeks, which did not air in 2020. So there is zero, and it's one of those that like, I wish there was like an Academy Awards of like anime of the year almost, because I need people in the industry to vote on this. It was an open poll for anime of the year. So like, obviously the most popular anime is going to win anime of the year. It has so little to do with actually critiquing it as an anime.
Correct. Yeah, I get it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it was almost like such an obvious pick.
And it's because Beastars is not entry level, you know what I mean? There's a big barrier between the average person watching Beastars.
Oh, yeah. If fucking, you know, Beastars is at one end of the anime spectrum and fucking Jujutsu Kaisen is another, the opposite end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of overlap in the people that will appreciate both.
And that's what I'm telling you about, like, why I come back to Konosuba a lot, is because it has a lot of ways to...
I was thinking about how you were saying Akame ga Kill's median. As soon as I was talking about that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I tell you that those are, like, within the middle range of the spectrum, because a lot of things can connect to it. But, like, something like Beastars to Jujutsu Kaisen, there's none.
Yeah, they're not common in any way.
Yeah.
Like, Beastars is about a tiny rabbit girl trying to fuck a wolf. Or something. Or something. Who knows? But we loved it. You know what I mean? It's so dope.
I thought it was great. Like you said, best fucking music.
And we like jazz. We like jazz here.
Yeah, we're jazzy.
We're really funky over here.
Yeah.
And then the last episode that came out for season 1 of Between Nerds podcast, episode 30, was A Silent Voice. And that was 2 weeks ago. That was 3 weeks ago.
And that was sad. That was the beginning of the sad month.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I'm sad.
Yeah. We've just been sad for like 4 weeks straight, and I think we're over it a little bit.
Yeah. And again, thank you everybody that has listened to us for this fucking 30 episodes. I think that we're going to be doing this for a while.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We just got to be real with each other and our audience about like when things happen, you know what I mean? Like, you're having a kid soon. That's a really big deal. I'm super proud of you. And like, I 1,000% do not expect this to be your priority as long as you have a newborn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we built this together. You know what I mean? Like, we're all playing by ear based on like
our life.
Yeah. It's just...
No, I get you. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this podcast is almost becoming an arcing fucking story about what our lives were in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, like the things we've complained about, like, after, like, during the Nerd Downs are, like, pinnacle 2020. We're just bitching about elections and the pandemic, like
nonsense and
stuff. Yeah, we had to be super cautious all last year about pandemic procedures and like people that we would like allow near us, and it was just I don't know. It's very typical, but it's cool that we have it documented like this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that brings us to the end of this fucking recap.
That's it.
Do you have any favorite? Who would be your, from all the animes that we watch? Who's your favorite girl?
Best girl for season 1 of Between Nerds podcast would probably be. Wow, that is super hard. I want to be super basic and pick 02.
You basic. I also, happy birthday, 02, by the way. It's her
Today's February 27th. It is 02's birthday. I also want to pick the pink-haired chick from Akame ga Kill, the one that died. Mm-hmm. But I can't remember her name, so maybe I don't actually care about her. Mm-hmm. Or maybe a Gretzko.
Gretzko's cool.
Just because, like,
level-headed.
Yeah, you understand her as a person.
Mm-hmm. I would say the Steins Gate girl will be the best in both usefulness and story.
Christina?
Yeah, Christina, zombie assistance. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that would be the best one.
Yeah, she was dope. Mm-hmm. She was dope. Who, for you, who's best boy? Who is your husbando?
I'm not going to say Goro for sure.
Wait, who's Goro?
From Darling in the Franxx. Coco.
Oh no, okay. Well, Karen loves Levi from Attack on Titan.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to say, and as much as scumbag he is, I think Kazuma. Kazuma has to be the least annoying and useful fucking male protagonist.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so funny because, like, that's how that average, like, dude would just act if he got transported to a magical world. It's just, there's big boobed magic chicks and just, I don't know. What?
I need to suck your this. Oh, yeah, suck it, whatever. I
don't care. Okay. What is your favorite episode?
Favorite episode?
Not anime, episode.
Episode of our episodes. Yes. It has to be either Berserk or episode 3 Madoka Magica. And that is because it's the three of us, and man, I just remember how much fun we were having talking about Madoka Magica.
Yeah.
I just remember you at the beginning of that episode still thinking that I hated the anime because I had not said anything about it.
You hadn't said anything, and that I thought that meant that you hated it. For me, it'd probably be Madoka Magica, or it would be maybe Beastars.
Beastars is great.
Because I think we did Beastars really well. I think that's the current, like, angle that we record our episodes in, where it's really crisp, it's really to the point. We have a flow and a structure down, like, subconsciously. Like, we're able to just talk off the cuff like this without even trying at this point.
Yeah, and that's also one of my best episodes. But if I had to pick, it would be episode 3. Yeah. So far for this season, and I'm not going to bring up Madoka Magica next season for this, you know?
We have to shut up about that. That's why we're doing this episode. We're trying to stop comparing it to old episodes.
Old episodes, correct.
But yeah, just shout out to everyone that uses the hashtag every month, because we have people that, like, support the podcast but aren't consistent with the hashtags, which it means nothing for you to just do a tweet with whatever hashtag of the month we have. I don't know why you decide to participate some months and just not the other when you listen every week. Just use whatever hashtag we're doing, and it helps so much, because what we love the most is our philanthropies. And we love supporting these nonprofits, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. And nerds, thank you very much for joining us. This has been the season finale of the first season of the podcast of Between Nerds. Please follow us on Twitter at Between Nerds, on IG, on TikTok at Between Nerds. Listen to us on pretty much almost all the platforms for podcasts. And thank you, nerds, for joining us on your favorite local anime-loving podcast.
This has been an excellent season. Thank you all. This has been Between Nerds.